All right, let's just jump right in. We've all been in this spot, right? The new feature is finally ready, the patch is built, and everyone's breathing down your neck to just ship it. So the team pushes it live, big sigh of relief all around. But here's the thing. Hiding in that very moment is this really dangerous assumption, and it's creating a massive, massive security gap.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. Our whole validation process, it's totally laser focused on one simple question. Does it work? But we completely forget to ask the second, and I'd argue equally critical question. Is it still secure? We just kind of assume that all the security stuff that was there before the change is still there after. And that assumption, that's exactly where all the trouble starts.
Yeah, because the moment we assume that security just carries over, we're totally ignoring the hidden dangers that are packed into every single change. You see, new code doesn't just add cool new features. It can sneak in completely new and sometimes pretty nasty vulnerabilities.
And what's so wild about this is how simple and common these gaps really are. I mean, think about it. A new feature accidentally bypasses the access controls you already had in place, or a quick little config change ends up weakening your encryption. Maybe a developer, and we've all seen this, disables a security control for testing and then, oops, forgets to turn it back on. Or maybe you update a dependency without even realizing it's got a brand new flaw. Every single one of these isn't just a small mistake, it's a ticking time bomb.
Okay, and this right here, this is the line that should make everyone just stop and think. Your biggest security threat? It's probably not some super sophisticated hacker in a dark room somewhere. Nope. More often than not, it's our own process. It's us. By pushing changes without rechecking our security, we are literally, and I mean literally, creating the exact openings that attackers are just waiting to exploit.
So, what's the fix? How do we actually solve this? Well, it really comes down to a fundamental shift in our mindset. We have to get away from just assuming we're secure and start actively validating it, every single change. And that means we need to introduce what I'm calling a mandatory security check. So there's a name for this. It's called post-change security testing. And if you look at that definition, there's one word in there that is just so important: non-negotiable. This can't be an optional step, something you do only when you have extra time. No way. It has to be a core, fundamental practice that happens after every single patch, every upgrade, every new feature. Zero exceptions. Okay, so theory is great, but how do you actually make this practical, right? Well, here's a simple but really powerful checklist that you and your team can start using in your workflow, like today. All right, let's walk through this. First up, you've got to trigger targeted tests on the really critical stuff. Think authentication, input validation, and these have to run automatically. Second, you need to bake automated security scans right into your pipeline. We're talking about things like SAST for your static code, DAST for the running app, you know the drill. Third, look, for those really high-risk changes, automation just isn't going to cut it. You absolutely need a human, a manual review. Fourth, you have to double-check that your monitoring and your alerts are actually working after the change. And last but not least, the golden rule. All of this has to be mandatory, period. Now, to help you get this conversation started, I've got 4 very direct questions you can take to your team literally today. These are specifically designed to shine a light on where your process might be breaking down. First question, and it's a big one. What security tests are actually running after each and every release or configuration change? Seriously, just ask that. The answer you get, or maybe the silence you get, is going to be incredibly telling. If they say none, or we're not really sure, boom, you've just found your starting point.
Okay, next up, let's get a little more specific. Ask your team, do we validate our access controls and check for data exposure every single time? Because think about it, a new API endpoint, a tiny little change in some logic, that's all it takes to accidentally expose a ton of sensitive data. This check has to be absolutely constant.
Now for a more big picture question. Think of your threat model as like a map of all the potential ways an attacker could get in. And here's the thing. Every new feature you add changes that map. It creates new roads, new pathways for an attacker. So the question is, are you constantly updating your map? Or are you trying to navigate today's territory with a map from last year? And finally, this one is the real gut check, the moment of truth. Ask your team, if we accidentally pushed a vulnerability live last week, would we even know about it today? This question goes beyond just prevention, right? It's all about detection. It's a direct test of how good your monitoring, your logging, and your alerting really are after something has already shipped. So all of this, it all brings us to one final and really crucial reminder. It's about what it truly means to be secure in this world where things are constantly changing, constantly being developed.
And honestly, this right here says it all. If you're not revalidating your security after a change, you're not defending today's system, you're defending yesterday's system. Think about that. The second you deploy a change without retesting, your security becomes obsolete. It's stuck in the past, defending a version of your application that doesn't even exist anymore.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought. Every single change, I don't care how small it is, creates new risk. Security is not some finish line you cross once. It's not a one-time achievement. It only exists. It is only real if it's constantly being retested and re-earned every single time.